Hey guys, welcome to oneChurch.tv online. We're so glad that you chose to hang out with us today. If this is your first time, I really would encourage you to take out your phones and text New One Seed in 97,000. When you do this, it actually allows us to be able to get in touch with you and say thank you so much for hanging out with us today and help you take your next step as you get closer to your relationship with Jesus. Today we're in week 3 of a series, a marriage series we're calling What Every Couple Thinks They Know. And Kim is going to be teaching today. Welcome to oneChurch.tv.
Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my head lifted high. these walls. I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love, and my heart will sing your praise again. Oh, your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. And you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You've made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You've made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I'll see you do it again. Oh, your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet.
I love worship, and I'm so glad that you chose to hang out with us worshiping today. We're going to continue worship with our giving, and we make it really, really easy to give at oneChurch.tv. Remember, you're not giving to a church, you're giving through a church. And how you can give, of course, is you can go to our oneChurch.tv app, and you can click Give from there. You can actually go to our website, oneChurch.tv/give, or you can do our text to give option. Thank you so much for giving at oneChurch.tv. And let me tell you a couple of next steps that you can take here at oneChurch.tv. Everything Family is coming up because on February the 28th at 11 o'clock, we're doing our Family FX service. Now, if you've not been in person to our family service, it's an amazing time where we actually preview what your preschoolers and your K through 5th graders are going to be looking and learning from during the month of March. So make sure to show up in person at 11 o'clock on February the 28th for our Family FX service. And that's going to be previewing our March the 7th family service. You may not know this, but we are relaunching our oneChurch.tv kids ministry here at the 2111 Trenton Road campus. And we're going to continue to do things online for YouTube like we've been doing. But if you've been like, you know what, I've been waiting to come to church until they got family ministry open, it's open March the 7th, and we hope to see you in person or online. Thanks, and let's continue on week 3 of our series, What Every Couple Thinks They Know.
We're brought here today by the love that Sarah and Davis share for each other.
We're going to be so happy.
We'll be so happy, and I'm gonna crush it at being a husband. I really hope she looks like her picture. Pete says she has a good personality. That's a red flag.
Davis?
Whoa, that is one beautiful personality.
Cutie alert.
Thank you, Pete.
Sorry, I got you a latte.
Oh.
I hope you like it.
Thanks, latte.
Why did I just say that?
Quick, say something.
Oh, yeah, that's dairy. Probably shouldn't immediately correct him.
So do you... sports?
Failure.
Yeah, I love golf.
What? No, I don't.
I hate golf.
Me too. Yes, I love with the chipping and the putting, birdies.
Nope, tweet.
Get a hold of yourself.
So what are you looking for in a relationship?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die alone.
Oh. It's,
Someone just like me.
Someone who's just kind of their own person.
Someone pretty adventurous.
Someone who likes to stay at home.
Someone who'll just listen to me.
Someone who doesn't talk too much.
Someone who isn't intimidated by how much money I make.
Somebody who doesn't mind how little money I make.
He looks like a good dad.
Hope she doesn't want kids like soon.
it's, like another person.
Oh, that's me. I mean, me too.
I think I love her.
Wow, time flew by.
It's over? Think fast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You gotta... do you want me to maybe...
Should I give her a hug? Is that weird?
No. Okay.
No, kiss.
Okay.
No, wait. Oh my gosh, what do I do?
This is great.
What is happening?
Go.
Okay.
Ooh, he smells good.
Well, I'll just see it.
Well, you messed that up.
It's okay. We'll crush our second date.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to oneChurch.tv online. My name is Kim, and I'm so glad that you are spending this time here with us today. I just want to start out today by, first of all, thanking you all so much for hanging with us as we have been primarily an online campus for the past several weeks as we dealt with some illness and COVID, specifically within my own family. I know Chris shared with you all last week that our entire family ended up with COVID, not from a source inside the church, but it very quickly affected us all. And so thank you so much for your support as we went online and for continuing to join us even here today. I do just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer as we get started that I'm still in a little bit of recovery. So if during speaking to you today I need to grab a quick drink of water or clear my throat, please bear with me as I do that. Hopefully we're all is going to be well. We're all doing much better and feeling so much better. But I did just want to let you know that as we get started. I'm so excited about the series that we're in right now called What Every Couple Thinks They Know. And when we first started it, I'll be honest, this is a series that we did many, many years ago. I enjoyed the series then, but as we first started it this time, I just got so excited about the things that we're talking about. Not only for our marriage relationships, but for our dating relationships, for our friendships, for relationships that we have with those that we work with. Because goodness knows, we've probably all had a season in our life where we come into a relationship expecting one thing and then quickly learn that it can become something completely different. And our marriages, our dating, our parenting relationships are certainly a part of that. And so as we continue on in week 3 of this series, I'm just excited to have the opportunity to share with you all today, and specifically to share with the guys today. You know, this series that we're in is focusing on the marriage relationship most of all. And we've talked about, you know, as we come into these relationships, we may think we have an idea of what it's going to be like. We'll have desires and expectations and things that we want our marriage to look like. How much time we'll spend together, how we'll do our finances, how we'll raise our kids. And then there are certain things that we think of that the wife does and certain things that the husband does. And so this series just kind of says, you know, all those things you thought you knew, well, maybe they're going to all turn out differently than you thought. And if you've been married for any amount of time, you're realizing that that's true. And for me as well, Chris and I have been married for 27 years, and I realize every time we come to this subject, there are things that I thought I knew about marriage, there are things that I thought I knew about relationships, but in the end, I'm still learning, and I hope that you are as well. So today, we're going to jump back into this series, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, I'm going to be talking to the guys. Now, last week when Chris spoke, he spoke to the women about what men really want, and today, guys, I am going to talk to you about what women really want. And we mentioned these books to you called For Men Only and For Women Only. And these books are written by a husband and a wife to one another, Shanti and Jeff Feldhahn. And so the wife wrote a book talking about For Women Only, and then the husband wrote a book called For Men Only. But Chris and I thought it would be fun if we switched up and he talked to the ladies and I talked to the guys. And so that's where we are today. Now, Jeff, the author of the book For Men Only, starts out with an introduction in his book that I think is just great. And this is what he says about guys and how they think about women. Guys tend to think that women are random. We, being guys, think, I pulled this lever last week and I got a certain reaction. But then I pulled this same lever this week and I got a totally different reaction. That's random. But the thousands of women that were polled in order for Jeff to write this book, they said this: but we aren't random. If you pull the lever and you get a different reaction, either you're pulling a different lever or you're pulling it in a different way. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. There's going to be a graphic coming up on your screen that makes me think about, how men may have one lever, maybe two. But when it comes to women, there are not only levers, there are knobs and buttons and switches and lights. And sometimes when you try to understand a woman as a guy, it can seem mind-blowing. It can seem like women are just too difficult to understand. And so guys, I want to spend some time sharing with you today maybe some clues and some helpful hints to help you truly understand better what your lady thinks and how she feels. And so we're going to go back to where we've been. We're going to be in the book of Ephesians today. We're going to be in chapter 5, verse 25. And so if you have the YouVersion Bible app, if you have your phone, or if you have an iPad, we invite you to join us there, because all of these verses and these notes will be included there as we start today. So we're going to go back to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm going to go to verse 19 first, and then we'll get to verse 25. So Ephesians 5, verse 19, and this is what that verse says. This is where we're laying the foundation of our ground rules. It says, "Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ." Now, we talked about that word submit, and how in our understanding of where we're going with this, submit means to willingly bow down, to willingly take a place of service to your spouse, to your husband, or to your wife. Notice that it says submit to one another. It doesn't just say husbands submit to wives or wives submit to husbands. It says submit to one another. So this is the ground rule. This is where we level the playing field. We're going to work to put the needs of our spouse before our own needs. Basically, we're going to try to outserve one another. I'm going to place your needs ahead of mine. You're going to place my needs ahead of yours. Now let's keep going. Now let's go to verse 25, Ephesians 5:25. And this is what it says. "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." So notice here, husbands, you're getting that direct attention. Last week, Chris talked about how the ladies were addressed first in Scripture, and that would shake things up, of course, because men were always spoken to first. But here, guys, you're getting that instruction and that attention that the author really wants you to hear. And so he says, husbands, love your wives. And don't just love them out of your own love them as Christ loved the church. And what did Christ do for the church? Well, he gave himself up for her. So God compares a husband's love for his wife to his love for the church. Let's keep going. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated his own body, but he feeds it and he cares for it just as Christ does the church. Wow. Guys, I don't know about you, but that's a lot of responsibility. God has given you a great responsibility to care for your wife. It's the man's responsibility to care for, to love, to cherish his wife just like he does his own body. So just as if you get up in the morning and you're checking yourself out in the mirror and, oh, how do my teeth look? And do I have any more gray hair? And, ooh, do I still have some muscles going on there? You check yourself out. You check your body. You check the condition of it. You care for it. That's what God is saying about how husbands are to love their wives. Pay attention to those little details. Make sure that you know everything about her. The word feed here has nothing to do with food. It's really about responding to your wife's basic needs. Take care of her basic needs. Yes, make sure she has food and make sure she has clothes. Make sure she has shelter. The word care here in this verse, the word care has nothing to do with feelings necessarily, but about expressing value. So husbands, you want to provide for your wife's basic needs, and then you want to express her value to you. In the original language, the word care really has to do with the idea of cherish. It implies that we want to make a big deal about our spouse. Tell your wife how wonderful she is. Tell her that you are thankful for her. Tell her the things that she does that make you feel special, that bring a smile to your face. That's what this verse is talking about. He who loves his wife, he loves his wife as himself. You know, it's pretty easy for us to love ourselves, to care for ourselves. Sometimes it can even look selfish when we do so. And so we want to take that same amount of care that we pour into our own selves, into our own lives, and we want to pour that out for our spouse. Husbands, love your wives in this way. Take time to notice those special details about her, to speak those words of encouragement, to care for her, to notice all of those little intricacies about her and what she needs. Because at the end of the day, more than a woman needs to have things provided for her as far as clothes or fancy jewelry, more than any of that, what a woman needs is to feel valued. What a woman really needs is to feel valued. There's a great example of this in a movie that no doubt all of us probably are familiar with, Pretty Woman, in which Julia Roberts starts out as a prostitute who works the streets, and throughout the course of the movie becomes someone who is wanted and pursued. By the end of the movie, a woman who was paid to do a service has become someone who is important, someone who has value. Listen to what Jeff, the author of For Men Only, writes. He says, "The deal is never closed. Think about the deals that you've struck in your life. Your first car, your first real job, your first house. You saw what you wanted, you did what you had to do to get it, and then you came home and the deal was done." Right, guys? That's something that guys are very good at. Guys see something, they figure out a way to get it, and they conquer it. God has wired you that way, to be a conqueror, to pursue things. Now listen to this. No deal compares to winning your wife. Your wedding day was the day that you proved to the world that you love her, that you chose her. And you probably thought the deal was closed. You found what you wanted, you pursued it, you got it, done. But not exactly. Because while your wife isn't out looking for someone else, there is still that ongoing need within her that maybe you don't really even understand, that she still wants to feel valued. She still wants to feel pursued and loved. And so this is a really important thing for guys to understand about women. Just because you said "I do," just because the marriage license was signed, doesn't mean that it's done for all time. The work continues on in the relationship. Because most women that were talked to and interviewed in this book and for this book, most women express that they have a layer of insecurity about whether or not their man will continue to love them and whether or not the relationship will be okay. Don't miss that, guys. Your wife, your girlfriend, your spouse has a level of insecurity that's still there. Even though in your mind it's done, this is it, she's my woman, we have signed the dotted line, I put a ring on it, even though that's where you are, she's still gonna find places and times in her life where she's wondering, is everything really okay in this relationship? And so I want to discuss with you some signs that help you to know that perhaps she's feeling that way. So guys, here's the first one. Do you ever wonder why your wife or your girlfriend asks you, "Do you love me?" even though you've done nothing to indicate that you've changed your mind or that you don't love her. In fact, you even said, I love you to her on your way out the door as you left for work yesterday, or you will tomorrow. You are expressing your love to her, but still she will come to you and say, do you love me? All right, there's one. Now let's talk about another one. She takes your need for space or downtime as an indication that you're upset with her and that you're trying to get away from her. All right? Okay, so think about this. All right, does your wife do this? So you say you need some space, you need some downtime, and your wife thinks, well, oh no, now he's upset with me. What did I do wrong? What did I miss? Is he just trying to get away from me? Guys, you ever dealt with that? Ever felt that way? Or how about this? Your wife wants to talk about the relationship, especially at the times that you least want to talk about it, right? So she's got this need to discuss it with you and go through all the fine details of your relationship, the past, what's coming in the future, and you're just like, what is this? Why do we have to talk about this right now? How about this one? Your wife or your girlfriend tends to get critical or angry with you for no earthly reason that you can ever understand. Things seem to be going well, and then all of a sudden, bam, one little thing seems to set her off. And of course, with women, layer upon layer upon layer. It's never about one thing. And all of a sudden, the floodgates open, and she's just pouring out all of this emotion and upsetness and criticalness and anger. And you're just like, where did this come from? How about the fact that she gets crabby or emotional and she seems to push you away, but then she gets even more upset when you stay away? Is there ever a way for you to win? That doesn't make any sense. She'll push you away and say, I just need some alone time. And then when you start to walk away, she'll say, where are you going? Are you going to leave me alone? Oh my goodness, isn't that what you just said you wanted? Yeah, remember that graphic at the beginning? Knobs, switches, levers, lights. Yeah, it totally makes sense in this situation. Finally, your wife gets upset or wants to punish you for spending time with the guys or doing things away from her. So there may be times when she says, oh, I need my space, or, oh, I'm just desperate for a girls' night out. But then when you come and say, oh, I'm going to hang with the guys, then she gets upset about that. How will that ever make any sense? And it may sound like each one of these things aren't related, but truly they are. And men, I'm positive that these behaviors drive you nuts. And the reason I know is because I live with it in my own life. I do some of these very things in my marriage with Chris. And there are times that I can see it written all over his face. Oh my gosh, woman, you are so confusing. You're driving me crazy. But here's our big idea for today. And hopefully this will give some direction and help you understand what all of these actions and symptoms are about. And here it is. Women want to feel that they are worthy of pursuit. Your woman wants you to continue to pursue her. She doesn't want you to put it on autopilot. She doesn't want you to feel like the deal is done. You can just check out and do your own thing. Your wife, your lady, your woman wants to continually be pursued, to know that she's worthy of your time and your attention and your affection. Listen to this verse in Proverbs. Proverbs 18:22 says this, a man's greatest treasure is his wife. She is a gift from the Lord. Did you catch what it says in the first part of that verse? A man's greatest treasure is his wife. What women need more than anything is to be valued, to be treasured. Guys, do you treat your wife like she is your most prized possession? Like she is the most important thing to you? Do you treasure her more than you treasure the stuff that you want? Do you treasure her more than that new part you want for your truck, or that new tool you've had an eye on, or that new flat screen TV that would look great in your man cave? The time and attention that you put into those things, into thinking about them and, oh, how am I going to acquire that? Are you still putting that much time and attention into pursuing your relationship and valuing your wife? Your greatest treasure is a godly wife, your godly wife. So today, I just want us to take a little bit of time to talk about three ways that you can continue to invest in and pursue your wife. Because remember our big idea today, women want to feel that they are worthy of your pursuit, men. It's up to you. No one can pursue your wife like you can. No one should pursue your wife like you do. Let's say that. So, how to value your woman. How to value your woman. So, women need to be valued. So, how in the world, as a guy, are you supposed to do that? Well, let's take a look at number one. Need number one. Reassure her. Reassure your woman. So, here's an example. You guys are in some sort of heated conflict over something. And during the disagreement, right in the middle of it, stop and tell your wife that you love her. It doesn't matter what it's about, because what your wife needs to know is that she still has value to you. She is more important to you than whatever it is that you're arguing about. Listen to this, it's really interesting. In the survey in this book, 95% of women said, if men would just say, I'm angry right now and I need some space, but I want you to know that we are okay. Saying that would just diminish so much of the emotional climate and the upset and the anger in the room, that emotional turmoil, and it would help her to calm down and to know that everything is going to be okay. Did you catch that, men? So in the middle of a conflict, stop. Look at your wife and say to her, I know that we're upset right now, but I want you to know that I love you and everything is going to be okay. Offer that reassurance to your wife, because chances are in this conflict that you're having with her, she's feeling much more than what's going on about the subject matter that you're discussing or that you're arguing about. For her, it's gone on to other places, maybe things she's dealt with in her past, maybe areas in her life where she's struggling. And so what she needs to know more than anything is that you still value her. You still choose her. Above all those other circumstances, above the craziness, she still has value. You value her, and you're not going anywhere. Here's another example. When you're in an argument, or right after it's ended, sometimes you just want to walk away. You just need to catch your breath and get yourself back together, right, guys? It's like, whew, I'm so glad that's over. But a lot of times, your wife doesn't want space. She wants a hug. She wants that physical representation of you still being there for her. Now, sometimes there are a few exceptions to that. I personally am not one that wants to be hugged right in the middle of an argument. Usually, if Chris and I are in some sort of disagreement, I find myself doing this, pushing away, because I got to have some room. We got to work this out. And so the last thing I want to do is come together in a hug. But a lot of women aren't that way. And that's totally understandable, because once again, as women, we're looking for that opportunity to feel connected, to know that we still belong, that you still cherish us, that we are still your prized possession. Listen to what one woman, how she expressed it. She said, all I want him to know is that half the time I'm just as confused as he is over whatever it is we're dealing with. And so instead of getting upset and leaving me alone to calm down, I just want him to come close to me, to hold my hand, or to give me a hug and let me know that he loves me, and get this, that he wants me to feel better. Guys, don't miss the importance of what your love and your value of your wife means. It's that caring for yourself and loving yourself, that's exactly what's happening here. You're showing that love of, I want you to be okay more than these circumstances. I want you to know you're valued more than all this stuff that we're dealing with. So reassure her. Reassure your wife of her value. Reassure her that she is worthy of your pursuit. All right, number two. Number two is pursue her. Go after your woman. There is nothing that makes a woman feel more treasured and special than to see her man coming for her. When Chris and I first got married and we were learning how to communicate with one another, there were times that I would say to him, I just need you to be the hero. And I wasn't even sure what I meant by that when I said it. But as time has gone on, what I've learned is that I want to know that Chris is going to run after me and the things that I am pursuing, that the things that I think are important, the things that bring me joy, that he is going to pursue me and find interest in those things as well. He has an example that he loves to share, and he promises that he wasn't stalking me. But when we were in college, there was a certain place that he would park in town. And when I would go home to see my parents on the weekend, I would always come back on Sunday afternoon, and I usually came back into town this certain way. So he would park in this parking lot and watch for my car just so that he could get a glimpse of me driving by. He wanted to see me so badly. He cared about the fact that I was coming back and wanted to be a part of that. Even if I never knew he was there, even if I never saw his car, even if he blew his horn and waved and I didn't hear it, the fact was he cared enough to watch for me, to pursue me. And that is what your woman wants as well. Take the time to be interested in the things that interest her. Take the time to find out what it is that breathes life and passion into her. Don't just go, oh, that's nice. Pursuing is even better than reassuring words because actions speak louder than words. Pursuit is action. It's not just talk. So as Chris sat in that parking lot waiting for me, he took the action of being there, of watching, of waiting for me. It wasn't just him calling me on the phone saying, oh, I'll be glad when you get back, which is very nice as well. But he took part in what I was a part of. Pursuing prevents a lot of insecurity. Because I'll be honest, one of the things that women deal with a lot is guilt. We're always feeling like we're letting someone down. We haven't given enough time here. We haven't done enough work here. We haven't given enough attention over here. And so when you as a man turn your attention to the things that fill our lives, when you ask about that, when you become involved in that, when you pursue that, that helps meet a deep desire within us to know that we are accomplishing things of importance and that it also matters to you. It matters to our man. What were the things that you did when you were dating to pursue your wife? Where were the places that you went? What were the things that you did together? Listen to this verse in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10. It says, "Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is worth more than precious rubies." She's worth more. When you pursue your wife, you're telling her, you're worth more than other things that I could be doing. Spending time with you means more to me than spending time doing this. Listening to you means more to me. Solomon, the wisest man in the world, who said, who can find a wife like this? He was saying, she's valuable. She is of great worth, more worthy or more valuable than rubies and diamonds and gems and jewels and silver and gold. She is your wife. She deserves to be pursued, to be sought after. When we go back to that idea of dating, what did that look like? What were some of the things that you did then? What was it that you thought, I'm willing to do anything to win her, She's the one that I want. For Chris, I know one of the things that he did for me during our time of dating was at one point he got my car keys one day and went and made a copy of my car key. And so there were times that I would come out of class when we were in college, and there would be a note in my car or a rose on the passenger seat, or he loved to make mixtapes. And so there would be a cassette tape in the player in my car filled with love songs or ideas that he wanted to express to me. He was pursuing me. He was doing things and meeting me right where I was and expressing my value to him. Now, would I still enjoy those things today? Absolutely, yes. You know, a lot of times we approach marriage in the idea of, well, once I've signed on the dotted line, then everything is done for all time. But don't do that. Don't let your mind go there. Continue to pursue. Whatever it was that made your dating relationship so irresistible, the places that you went together, the dreams that you shared, the conversations that you had, continue to do those things. Continue to tell her how much you value her. Pursue her. Finally, number 3. And this is the one where we always find differences between men and women. And number 3 is she needs conversation. Your wife, your woman, your girlfriend, sometimes even your mom needs conversation. Have you ever had a situation like this? Picture this, guys. You come in from work and your wife says, "How was your day?" "Fine." And then she says, "What did you do today?" And you say, "The usual." And then she says, "Well, what's the usual?" And you say, "Oh, I had meetings." And then she says, "With who?" And you say, "Customers." And she says, "Where did you meet them?" And you say, "At a restaurant." And then she says, "What restaurant?" And you say, "Oh, Charlie's." And she says, "What did you eat?" And you say, "Oh my gosh, I ate food. We ate food. What does it matter? Why are you giving me the 3rd degree? I just went to work. I did what I always do." No doubt this conversation happens over and over again in our relationships. Not just with our husbands and wives, but with our kids, with coworkers. It's a place of trying to gain information. And as a guy, you're probably wondering, why in the world is she wanting to know all of these details? Because they certainly don't matter to you. But to ladies, the meaning is in the details. Listen to what Jeff says about this. Men and women communicate for different reasons. For men, communication is a report. They're telling someone something that they need to know in order to take action. But for women, it's different. It's about rapport. Connecting with the other person by joining them in their world. And a big part of how you do it is by getting the details. So guys, when you give short answers like, "It was fine," "Okay," "Nothing," your wife is not looking for a report. It's not just about what you did. She's looking for rapport. She's looking for a personal connection with you, where you feel like you understand what she's asking, and she feels like she's gaining understanding of your day and what you were involved in so that she can be connected to you. Now, for most guys, once you've done your work for the day and you're leaving the job, you want to leave the job at work. The work stays at work. But as you come back to your wife and you have that time of conversation, it helps her to feel connected to you from the time that you spent apart, to have an understanding of what your day looked like. Listen to this verse and it'll help shed some light on it. In Proverbs 15:23 it says, "Everyone enjoys a fitting reply. It is wonderful to say the right thing at the right time." So, It's wonderful to say the right thing at the right time. Remember, the answer that you give, the fitting reply that you give, has the power to build your wife up and once again show her that she has value to you because she's not trying to be difficult. She's wanting to connect with you. And when you say the right thing at the right time and those details all come together, then it helps her feel connected, to feel close to you. Now, I know there's this thing about what guys have 1,000 words a day, women have, 10,000 words a day. And so guys, you may be thinking to yourself, there is no way I can do that. But if you've ever been in sales or had to deal with customers, certainly there's been a time when your customer walks in and you begin to talk with them before you do business with them. It's not just a case of perhaps you walk in somewhere and throw a contract down on the desk and say, sign it, and then you walk out. No, you want to be able to do good business with your customers or have a good relationship with your boss, so you take time to talk about other things, other details. How's the weather? Did you see the game this weekend? Are you going to go shoot any pool this weekend? Are you going to play golf this weekend? Whatever it may be. And because you want the opportunity to build connection, to have a common ground so that you can achieve what it is you need to do in your workplace. So guys, it's no different with your woman. You can do the same thing with her. Have that rapport. Have that personal communication. Not just a report about what has happened. She wants to connect with you. Have a conversation. Now, the other important part of that is that when you have a conversation, then you have to listen to what is being said. I'm sure there's been times when your wife has been talking on about something, and perhaps in your mind you've been like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what she just said. Yes, dear. Yes. Right? But you really weren't listening. And so when your wife is talking to you, when she's gathering all these details or when she's sharing something that she's going through, she's not just doing that because she wants you to fix it. She wants you to genuinely listen. Guys, we don't necessarily need your solution. In case you didn't know, your woman is pretty smart. Your wife is very intelligent. And so what we're looking from when we share those things with you, what your wife is looking for when she shares that with you, is she wants you to understand how she's feeling about what it is she's going through, how she's feeling about the problem. She wants you to focus on her feeling about it, not the problem itself. So, guys, here's what y'all usually do. This is a big buzzword with guys. Compartmentalize, right? So I've got the facts here, and I've got my feelings here. I'm going to put all the facts over here and put it in a box on this shelf. I'm going to put all my feelings about it in a box over here, and I'm going to put it on this shelf. And so then I can think logically, what is the problem? What is the solution? Here's the details. Here's how I solve it. And so as you listen to your wife as she's talking, you don't need to compartmentalize. What happens is you begin to filter out all of the feelings that she's sharing in order to find and focus on the solution, when actually you need to do the opposite. Focus on the feelings that she's sharing and filter out the solution, because you want to focus on her more than the problem. Just like we talked about earlier in this message, when you're in the middle of a disagreement and you stop and say, I love you to your wife, basically what you're doing is you're focusing on the emotion and on the feeling. So as you have conversation with your wife, be sure that you are listening to what she says. Don't be so busy trying to fix the problem or trying to help her deal with whatever it is that you miss the heart of where she is. Listen for those emotional clues. Watch for those tears. Watch her body language. And then, as the verse that we talked about earlier says, care for her as you would care for yourself in that moment. Take that love and care that you would long to feel, the attention that she would give to you, and you return that to her. Show her that love, that care, that attention to detail. Ephesians 5:25 once again says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Guys, here's the thing that's so important for us to understand, is that when you love your wife, you really are loving Christ. When you love your wife the way Christ loved the church, it says Christ gave himself up. When you give yourself up for your wife, then you are not only loving her, but you are also loving Christ. Because your love is not based on what your wife did or didn't do or does for you or doesn't do for you. You are loving her based upon what Christ has done for you. And your wife is a huge part of the blessing and the gift of what Christ has done for you. And so as you give up your preferences, as you give up your right to be heard or your right to be correct in something, as you give up the time that you'd rather spend in your man cave, as you choose, okay, I won't go fishing or hunting this weekend so that I can be with her, when you do that, then your love flows out of you into your relationship, showing just what Christ would do, how he loves the church every day, unconditionally, from beginning to end. Just like Christ loved the church, you love your wife. He is the basis of your love for her. When you, as a man, are in a strong and growing relationship with Jesus, it becomes that very foundation. Remember our very first verse that we talked about today, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. It starts with Christ. When you make him the center and the focus and the foundation of your life, when you as a man recognize the calling of God on your life, when you pour yourself into understanding his word, when you spend time with him, when you study, when you listen to godly teaching, when you say, the focus of my life is to be a man who follows hard after God, I promise you, your relationship with your wife will take on a whole new meaning. Because as you understand the importance of whom God has called you to be as a man of God, when you understand that calling in your life, then you understand the importance with which leading and loving and valuing and pursuing your wife takes on a whole new role. It's the part where we as couples, what we think we know, it's where those cultural influences, what the world says about what marriage looks and how we should treat one another, those things fall away. And we begin to love one another out of reverence for Christ. We begin to care for one another the way Christ cares for the church. He is your source. He is your motivation. He becomes the reason that you can't wait to pursue your wife. You can't wait for her to feel valued because it's exactly what God does for you. It's exactly what God does for you as a man who follows him. So I know sometimes we as women can just seem like we're from some other planet. What you think you know one day looks totally opposite on another day. But I promise you, that as a man of God, when you pursue him, when you love him, when you follow hard after him, then you will begin to truly understand what it looks like. When we read, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church. He gave himself up for her. Remember our big idea today. Women want to feel that they are worthy of your pursuit. You have more power to pour into your wife, to love her genuinely, to speak words of affirmation and encouragement to her, your voice is the voice that matters the most in those who surround her here on this earth. Love her greatly. Reassure her that you're there for her. Continue to pursue her and have a conversation and listen. This is the way that we love our wives well. This is the way for you to connect with your wife. Love her as Christ loved the church. Let's pray. God, we thank you so much that you are the one who created marriage. That out of your great love for us, you wanted us to have a person in our life that we could do life together with, who would be our partner and our helper and our encourager. And so as we, during this time and season, are trying to dig deep into your word and really understand what it means to have a marriage and to have relationships that go above the norm, that go beyond what the world says, help us to realize that begins with you. Everything about our relationships should be centered on you. You are the ultimate example of love and forgiveness and kindness and compassion. And the way that you love us allows us to truly understand how we can love one another. Thank you so much that you continue to pursue us, that you reassure us, that you talk with us, and help us to pour those same things into our marriages as we submit to one another out of reverence for you. Amen.
Hey guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today online. Thank you so much, Kim, for that great teaching. And we are almost done, but let me just hit the pause button and say, if you've got kids, we're far from done, because you can go to our oneChurch.tv kids channel on YouTube and you can get more content for a preschooler or a K through 5th grader. We believe that what happens in your home and you teaching your kids, we want to give you everything that you need to be able to do that. So make sure to go to our YouTube channel, oneChurch.tv Kids. As well as, just a reminder, this Wednesday, our Inside Out students will be meeting at the 2111 Trenton campus, barring any more snow. So make sure to watch out on Facebook for that. As well as, again, before we leave, if you want to text Connect 1C to 97,000, this is a way that we can stay in touch with you. That if we have to cancel events, or if you would like us to pray for you, every Monday, our staff and leadership prays for you. So make sure to text Connect 1C to 97,000. Go and be the church.